Right, I have just bought a brand new laptop for DJing, the MacBook Air M5. In today's video, we are going to unbox it. I'm going to explain exactly why I picked this model, and we can discuss whether I think this is a great option for you if you are in the market for a brand new DJ laptop. But without further ado, let's crack on with the unboxing. So I don't know what it is about unboxing Apple products, but there's always a special feeling about it. I really enjoy the unboxing experience. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below, or if I'm just a bit of a loser. So upon lifting the lid, there is the laptop itself in its nice paper protective sleeve. I'm just going to lift it out and put it to one side for a moment. Underneath, we've got a charging cable and some documents. Here in the UK, you no longer get a charger supplied in the box unless you pay extra money. I do think that is a little bit cheeky in my opinion, so I will be using my old charger because I didn't buy one. Laptop itself feels extra premium, nice and shiny, and important to note, on a MacBook Air, you only get 2 USB ports and the MagSafe charging port. Upon lifting the lid, the paper obviously protects the screen and the laptop starts up instantly. And in terms of color, I've actually gone for the sky blue on this, which is like a silvery blue color. It doesn't really show up on the screen, but it is a nice subtle blue color, which I really do like. So unboxing done, and you can see here next to my good old trusty M1 MacBook Pro, my previous DJ laptop, there's not a whole lot of difference between the two models. Yes, the MacBook Air is slightly thinner, it's slightly smaller, and the MacBook Pro is a little bit heavier, but to be quite honest, they look very similar. Obviously, I've gone for a slightly different color with this MacBook Air. Now, this MacBook Air is the first Air that I have ever owned. I've always opted for MacBook Pros previously. By the way, when it comes to DJing, it doesn't matter if you are Windows, Linux, or Apple, it really doesn't matter. It's what's inside that counts. And that is the precise reason why I have opted for the MacBook Air this time around. I feel like when it comes to hardware, laptop hardware, and using it for DJing, we've got to a point now where you just do not need a really high spec laptop anymore. I feel like the more base level laptop, so that of the MacBook Air, is good enough for DJing. At the end of the day, we are not doing very intensive tasks as DJs. Yes, we're manipulating music files, but this is not editing stuff like 4K video. This is not doing high-end gaming. You know, even if you're using high-quality WAV audio files with stems, for example, okay, in the grand scheme of things, the processing power compared to other things that you can do with laptops is very small. And I feel like hardware has got to a level up there where it's so powerful these days, and DJ software has kind of needed a little bit more power, but probably not to the level where the hardware is now. Obviously, I'm not a techie person, but that is my own opinion. And in a recent video that I made where I spoke about laptop specs more generally, I said that as long as you have enough internal storage and enough RAM, so I always recommend 16 gigabytes of RAM or unified memory as Apple call it, then that is going to be enough to do most intensive DJing tasks. And so with this particular spec, I have gone for the 1 terabyte SSD that instantly upgrades the processing power of the MacBook Air, and I have gone for 16 gigs of RAM, which is the base model. So I've pretty much not done much upgrades with this MacBook Air. Overall, I feel like this laptop is going to be suitable for the majority of DJs out there. There is no need to go for the Pro. However, there are a couple of circumstances where you may want to reconsider. Circumstance number one is if you live in an extreme climate. The MacBook Air does not have any fan cooling inside. It relies on like a heat sink technology. I'm not a techie person, but basically it doesn't have a fan inside, so it doesn't force air through it, if that makes sense, whereas the MacBook Pro does. Now, here in the UK, generally speaking, until this week, this would have been absolutely fine. I live in a country whereby the temperature doesn't often get above 15 degrees Celsius, but this week we're having a bit of a heat wave. So tonight in the club with very poor air conditioning, I feel like I'm going to be putting the MacBook through its paces. So I will report back on how it fares in heat. But if you live in a country where the climate is a lot hotter and you're DJing maybe like outdoor events, things like that, then you may want to consider a MacBook Pro or an alternative that has fan cooling. It doesn't matter if it's Apple or Windows at the end of the day. Number two, this laptop has significantly less ports than the MacBook Pro and other variants. It has the MagSafe charging port and 2 USB-Cs. Now this is useful for me because all I run is one cable into the laptop, but if you have visions of connecting up loads of different things into your MacBook, then you might want to opt for the Pro, or if you are buying an Air, you're going to have to potentially get extension dongles with the extra ports to allow you to connect. So that is also something that you want to consider. Right, I'm gonna head on over to the club in a short while. I will set up the MacBook Air and we're gonna see how it gets on today. It is 35 degrees C here in the UK, which is really quite warm. It's like unseasonably warm. Like even our summers do not get this hot. So I feel like it's gonna be put to good test. Since unboxing it, I have done a little bit of basic video editing on it in 4K and it has been absolutely fine. Because that's a bit more intensive, I thought that would be a good test, but we'll see how it fares in the club. I will let you know. Right, so we are back from the club. I've got the MacBook Air here. It held its own tonight, which I'm really, really grateful for. It got very, very warm in that club. The air conditioning is atrocious. It was pretty busy. And I was a little bit worried because at times the laptop was very warm to the touch, but there were no performance issues. I didn't have it shut down on me or anything like that. That being said, I do use my laptop in export mode in Rekordbox where there are CDJs. If I put it on performance mode, that has not been tested. So I just want to throw that out there. But for me and my usage tonight, it certainly held its own and the club was very, very warm. Yeah, very uncomfortable in there. Would I use this in direct sunlight? I'd want to probably be in the shade with some kind of fan on it to make sure it's as cool as possible. And maybe I put it on a laptop stand so it's got circulation or air circulating around it to keep it as cool as possible. But yeah, in terms of a real world test for my circumstances, it has been absolutely fine. And probably by next week, we'll be back in the cold and wet. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments down below. Shout out to my members as always, and I'll catch you in the next video.